Move to your neck. Does it want to move? You want to roll your neck? Just noticing, not trying to change it, not trying to make it go away. And then your head finally. Just kind of notice, is there pressure? Is it relaxed? So now just kind of notice your body, and I want you to say the yes, but sentence. I want you to say the yes, but sentence you created 3 times. And I want you to notice what's coming up for you. Where are you feeling what in your body? Is a certain place getting a little more intense? What are the thoughts coming to you, occurring to you? How do you feel? What are the physical sensations coming up?
How do you feel since I suggested the possibility that you'll feel something?
Mind you, we're not trying to change it. We're just noticing. That's it. Okay. So just make a mental note of that. And now I want you to take another couple deep breaths. Just breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. And now I want you to say the yes and sentence 3 times. Let's make that 5 times.
Oh my god, what you're doing here is you're creating a placebo effect. There's another word for it, but basically she's implanted a suggestion that you're supposed to feel something different.
Psychological conditioning.
Yeah. This is a manipulation that she is doing to convince people that there's something to what she's saying, and that's why you should buy her course. I mean, we see this in so many other ways.
A car commercial, food. It's used in every form of marketing out there.
Well, I mean, take, for example, the new car smell. That can be emulated, but we spray that in there to give you the sense that it's a new car, even if it's not. Or the smell of cookies when you go view a home give you a sense of hominess.
It brings back the sense memories of when you were a kid and one of your parents made you cookies as a little kid and it made you feel good and happy and everything was great.
So it makes you more inclined to see past the flaws of the house. It's a basic manipulation that if, you say, oh, well, if you do this, you're going to feel bad, then a person can be convinced that they'll feel bad having done it, even if before they wouldn't have done it. This is cult behavior. I mean, this is what cults do to members, like, well, you always felt this way when you did this, and do you feel this way now when you do it? No. Well, that's because whatever the hell we do here is working. No, your implant is a suggestion that they should feel that way.
Okay. Now I want you to just notice what's coming up for you. Where are the physical sensations happening in your body? What are they like? Once again, not try and change it. Now I want us to do this again. I want you to repeat it, keep repeating it until I say so. The yes and affirmation.
It's going back to exactly what I said earlier. If you keep telling yourself, I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick, eventually you will actually get symptoms of being sick. Your nose will become runny, your throat will start to hurt, your head will hurt. You're conditioning your mind to believe something. This is blatant cult. This is the cult handbook played out with feminism. It's how to warp people's minds and get them to do shit for you.
So there are the 7 ways of how cults recruit and indoctrinate their members. Invitation to a non-threatening event, well, this webinar would be that. Love bombing. At the event, cult members showered the potential recruit with attention and praise. Well, they sort of did that here by saying, well, you're taking this course, that means that you don't want to be. Dangling the prize in front of you, basically saying that you can be healed from toxic whiteness. If you're a white person, you can overcome that. Exchanging an agreement from you that you want the prize. Shutting down your dissidents by threatening to withhold the prize. Establishment of guilt, they've definitely done that. Carrot and stick, behavior is reinforced by rewarding good behavior and punishing bad behavior. And control of identity, information, and environment, which is what they're trying to do now. But right now, they're just trying to get people to see how doing it their way is so much better, and it's just psychosomatic. You're influencing your body to have a certain reaction because of the suggestion that you're supposed to have it. You know, this is kind of more of an extreme example, but one of my favorite episodes of news radio involved Matthew taking a smart drug, which actually didn't work, but he became smarter because he believed he would become smarter. You know, and it's played for laughs in that, but that's just really represents what happens with the mind. The mind is very powerful at tricking itself. So if you really want to, you can believe whatever you want. Which is a struggle to really conform to things within reality and fact check and verify everything that you have. Because it's easy to believe something just because someone said it. This is why I like the men's movement, is because they tend to fact check their work and show evidence of their work and show the logical inconsistencies when something doesn't add up. Feminism doesn't do that. And what these people are trying to do is trying to rid white people of their individuality, say that you can only do things within the group and only in which ways that we tell you to do it.
Okay. And now I want you to notice. That's the name of the game, is noticing. Just notice what's coming up for you. Maybe nothing shifted. Maybe you're exactly the same place you were with the yes but sentence, and that's perfectly fine too. There's no right or wrong to this. It's just what happened. It's an experiment, right? Maybe you're in a really different place though. Who knows? So I would love for folks to share in the chat box, what did you notice as you, in comparing your reaction to the yes but sentence versus the yes and sentence? And mind you, if nothing shifted, or maybe you felt more stuck, that happens. Right? There's no right or wrong to this. And if you felt like something shifted or opened up for you, that happens too, right?
One time when I was in Vegas, I watched a magician do hypnosis on like 3 or 4 people. Now, the magician kept telling people, if it doesn't work for you, that's fine. Just return to your seat. There's nothing wrong with you. It works for some people and it doesn't work for others. There's nothing wrong. That's exactly what she's saying. It's basically hypnosis. It's self-hypnosis.
And I'm going to bet no one walked away from the stage.
Yep, they all just stood there because they wanted to believe so much. Or they wanted to fight against it, and in the attempt of fighting against it, they ended up believing in it because they believed they had to fight it. So they tricked themselves into believing that it was working.
Or there's one other possibility, because they didn't want to be singled out. If they left the stage, they have the embarrassment of not being a part of the group that was a part of the demonstration. So either they lied to themselves or they think that they're lying to other people by staying there, and it's like, oh yeah, it happened for me, oh totally, even if it didn't. because they want to be a part of the crowd.
Mm-hmm. They don't want to be the odd man out.
Exactly. And that's what's going to happen here is people are going to say that something happened even if it didn't, because they want to be a part of it. Hannah once explained this to me. Take back the night rallies where women would get up and talk about their experience with like being raped and all of that. And she said that some women would go up there and lie about their experiences just so they could feel like they fit in. And this does actually happen where people will lie about their experience just to feel like a victim, just so they can feel a part of a community. Women will do this especially because of all of the positive attention they get for lying about rape. Because suddenly everyone is concerned about them and everyone wants to take care of them. It's a very addictive drug to want to be part of the in group. And what they're doing is basically saying, it's okay if it doesn't happen for you. There's no right or wrong answer, but we know you're going to trick yourself into believing that something did happen when it didn't. And we haven't done anything. We said that you could walk away anytime you wanted. You made the decision to stay.
Yeah. The funny thing is, they're saying you can walk away at any time. You can shut the video off and it's perfectly fine. But then when someone trolls them on the internet, the idea of just shut it down, close out the internet, get off of Twitter, it's like the biggest insult ever. Like, I can't do that.
And so, Josette, if you want to share as people mention, I don't know if there's trolls mixed up in the...
Yeah, I was actually going to say that because there's some beautiful answers. People were saying the yes but has a lot of anxiety. The yes and was more peace or at ease. A lot of folks were saying tightness, a feeling of tightness around yes but and release around yes and. A lot of that still feel overwhelmed, but feel a little shift. There was, and that's okay, felt really helpful. A lot of options moving forward. There's a lot of acceptance of myself, that sort of thing.
Right. And so that's great that so many people had their reaction. And like I said, if nothing really shifted for you, that's okay too. That just means that, you need to be there a little bit longer. Give a little more affirmation, right? Until it naturally shifts. We're not trying to force ourselves. You can't force yourself, for one thing. It's not going to go very well. And that's not what this is about. We're trying to create a different way of relating to ourselves, right? Systemic oppression has taught us to coerce ourselves and each other into doing things. And we're doing something different here, right?
White people don't have emotions, so we're trying to teach you how to have emotion. When in reality, people do have emotion, we're trying to teach you to have the emotions we want you to have. That when you say one thing, you get a negative response, but when you say another thing, you get a positive response. Unless you can see the idiocracy of this, and can see that one sentence doesn't make a difference to the other. I mean, look, one thing that I used to do when I was in phone support is, like, anytime I had, like, when I was in training and I had to take a test call, everyone was so nervous, like, oh my god, I'm going to fail. I'm like, nope, I'll pass. I'll get 100%. And a lot of people were like, well, yeah, you're going to fail because you think you're, like, all that. And I'm like, no. I'm mentally preparing myself to do good, because if I believe I'm going to do good, then I'm going to do good.
You're going to do better than you would have done if you just thought nothing about it, or if you thought negative thoughts. So it's automatically an increase.
Right. Because I believed I was going to do good, I did do good. If people believe that something is going to be good, then they're going to actually try to act it out as being good. If they believe that saying yes and is a better experience than yes but, they're going to condition themselves to recreate that for themselves, because they want to feel like they're doing what they're supposed to do. that they're being compliant. I mean, sad as it is, people have a natural tendency to be compliant. I do. I know I do. I don't hide that fact. I just try to deal with it as it comes.
I'm a little bit obstinate. I never grew out of the oppositional defiance disorder that I had as a kid. So I'm a bit obstinate, but it's good because it gives me the ability to stop and go, okay, this person is saying this. How can they validate it? What's the proof to it? What makes them an authority? It's like when Anita Sarkeesian said, I am an expert on the way women are treated in gaming. The first thing that popped in my mind was, what, because you've been doing a feminist series on YouTube for like 9 months that suddenly makes you an expert on something? Well, I've been involved in gaming since I was 2. I must be a super expert then.
Yeah, so if you really, really want something to have a positive experience, you can convince yourself of it, even if in reality it doesn't. And you know what? I did pass that test that I referred to. I didn't get 100%, but I think I got like in the 90s. So I didn't do as good as I expected myself to do, and I forgave myself for that. I'm like, you know what? That's okay. I didn't need to do good as long as I passed. You know, it's like the saying goes, you know, if you shoot for the stars and you fail, you'll fall back to the moon. But if you shoot for the moon and fail, you'll fall back to Earth. It's all about possessing the right thinking. But this can also be used as a way to manipulate you. And that's what they're doing here, is trying to manipulate people into a false, false hope, basically. That these people know what they're talking about because they're using a simple trick that therapists, psychiatrists, and palm readers use.
It's like when I was a little kid, my father used to take me ice fishing. Well, I like fishing, but ice fishing, you're sitting out in the middle of a frozen lake in the middle of winter. It's cold. It's probably snowing. And I would complain about it. And my father would always say, a bad day of fishing is better than a good day at work. It's the same thing. It's like, yeah, your feet are wet, you're kind of cold, you're hungry, you just want to go home, and you haven't really caught any fish, but it's better than being forced to be someplace you don't want to be, even if you had a good day there. Because here you're just doing something by choice.
Not really. If you were a child, you probably weren't really there by choice.
We're choosing. We're choosing, and we're being compassionate with wherever we are. We're holding the space for wherever we are. And it's super important to know that this was like, not even a 5-minute exercise that I did with y'all. You don't even know me. This is all virtual. I can't even see your faces, right? So you got to understand the power that comes from actually grounding yourself in your own internal reality, right? And so, because when we get caught up in what I call the toxic swirl of make-believe, right? And I call it toxic swirl because when we try to judge, blame, shame, ignore, minimize, deny what's happening, what we're experiencing, because we, can't, why, when we resist, we can't, why did it happen? I can't believe it. I can't do this, but I want to do this. And, you get into all that stuff, right? It's like you're a dog with a bone, but you're the bone, right? That's why I call it toxic world make-believe. So when you try to access your pain from that world, it's going to blow up in your face. And that's what you've been taught how to do by systemic oppression, because they didn't want you to get in touch with your feelings and actually take care of them, because then you would move to dismantle them. And they didn't want that, obviously. I know I talk about it like it's a person, but So instead, this is just bringing gentle awareness, mindfulness. If many people have heard about mindfulness, particularly through yoga and meditation, right? This is just holding a space for ourselves and let arise whatever arise, and then affirm that that's what's happening. We're not saying that's our preference. We want to continue for the rest of our lives every day, every moment. What we're saying is that this is what's here right now. This is true for me right now, right? And what we also learn in the compassion activism model is that your reality is true for you and somebody else's reality is also true for them. If they're different, they do not negate each other. You know, when we talk about how hard it can be for the fact that people of color and white folks have very different experiences of the same thing, as we talk about the police, for example, right? And they want to negate each other, right? Particularly white folks want to negate the experiences that people of color have around the police, right? Because that's not their own personal experience. Well, it's just they're both happening, they're both true, right? And so if we don't get in the habit of affirming our own reality, we're not very good at affirming other people's reality either, right? So this is all part of the work. It's this practice. And so I want to pause here and take some questions.
We have a million. I've been trying to get to them. We've had several questions in the Q&A lined up. I am going to actually pull from some of the most common ones. One of the sorts of questions I kept seeing over and over was whiteness is a social construct, so why continue to try to work with it? Why not kind of give it up altogether? That was a question that I saw a lot.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so that's a very valid question, right? And so what I think what you need to understand is we cannot jump over, right? We cannot go from the fact that we have been indoctrinated, brainwashed with white supremacy and be like, oh, so now we're going to be clear of it. We're going to be humans, healthy humans, right? You can't go from, and for folks who have a Buddhist background, like we talk about like, in the beginning, well, anyways, you go from unhealthy self to healthy self to no self, right? We're all kind of one over there, right? So it's a similar notion, right? So if we only have a sense of toxic whiteness that is used to dominate and be superior to that which is associated with people of color, well, we need to heal that. We need to heal that and come to what is healthy, what is a positive anti-racist white identity, right? How do we get to here? And then I think we are much more able to let go of labels and then because we have become connected, and then we can be more quote unquote one, right? We can also be humans, right? But we can't skip over that, right? Because the only way out is we gotta deal with our shit. We gotta deal with our shit. There's the only way we can go about this. And so I think ideally, yes, do we live in a world where like labels don't exist? That'd be great, where we can just be different and have different cultures and they're all like just different, but we all appreciate each other, we respect each other, and we all share and learn from each other, and we can just be one happy family. That'd be wonderful. Yeah, we're not there yet though, right? So we gotta understand how we're disconnected.
That's still labels. If you have a different culture, then that culture over there has a name or an ideology or a way of doing things. Oh, those people over there like to make clay pots. We don't. That's a label. I mean, to live in a world without labels is to live in a world with one culture.
To live in a world without labels is no one has a name. Everyone is exactly the same.
Yeah. I mean, it's a nice ideology, but it's one that's just so idiotic.
I look at it this way, and it pertains to Bernie Sanders in a very large way. Just because an idea is laudable doesn't make it a good one. His tax plan, give more to the poor and all this stuff, charge more people. Yeah, well, the problem is what he was planning on doing with the tax plan that he had, only half of the expenditures would be covered by the money that was taken in through taxes. And it's like, yeah, his ideas are laudable, but it's going to cost double what this country is making per year in tax just to pay for it. It can't be done. It's not mathematically possible. So therefore, it's not a good idea to do it.